Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North. On the programme tonight, new warnings about young people and knife crime. Police use tougher search powers following a machete attack on a 15-year-old in Leeds.
The evidence of the last 6 months here in West Yorkshire is proof positive that we need to do more. Young people are scared. Communities are feeling fearful.
We'll be live with the latest as community leaders fear gang violence is running out of control. Also tonight, new smart motorways are scrapped by the government. We'll look at what it means for your motorway journeys across the region. And how this barren landscape in the Dales is set to become the largest native woodland in England. And we meet the woman living with cancer who's determined to complete another marathon with a little help from her friends.
Well, finally, it was looking glorious today, and we've got lots of blue sky to come in the next few days. Join me for the very latest.
Hello, thank you for your company this Monday evening. We are clearly not getting it right when it comes to young people and knife crime. That's the warning from the Deputy Mayor who oversees policing in West Yorkshire. It comes after a 15-year-old boy was injured in a machete attack in Leeds yesterday. It led to police enforcing temporary powers to stop and search people for the third time this month. Our Home Affairs correspondent Emma Glasby has been speaking to people in the community today. She joins us now. Emma, it seems even the authorities are admitting that this is running out of control.
Yes, Amy, there is a great deal of concern. Now, the 15-year-old boy who was attacked with a machete-style weapon has been treated in hospital for a serious head injury. That attack happened yesterday evening at around 6 o'clock in the Hare Hills Park area. Now, increased stop and search powers for police were put in place last night in the Hare Hills and Chapeltown areas, but those powers were lifted this morning. But that is the third time in April alone that police have used extra stop and search powers following violent attacks in Leeds. Understandably, there is concern about knife crime in Leeds at the moment. Last month, 2 teenagers were stabbed to death. A 17-year-old Truss Junior Gangata was stabbed to death at a party in Armley, and 18-year-old Jamie Mia was stabbed to death in a taxi in Armley. Now, on Easter Sunday, an 18-year-old man suffered serious injuries after being attacked in the Hare Hills area, and since then a 15-year-old has been charged with attempted murder. Well, today I have been speaking to the Deputy Mayor for Policing and Crime in West Yorkshire. Alison Lowe told me that she thinks we need to be doing much better when it comes to tackling knife crime.
We're clearly not getting it right. The evidence of the last 6 months here in West Yorkshire is proof positive that we need to do more. Young people are scared. Communities are feeling fearful. And it's not just in Hare Hills, it's not just in parts of disadvantaged Leeds or West Yorkshire. Knife crimes are happening all over the place. Something very, very disturbing is happening with our young people, and we all need to be working together better to understand what that is.
Well, I've also been talking to people in Chapeltown today who are supporting families in the area. In a moment, we'll hear from Lutel James, who works with young people at Chapeltown Youth Development Centre. But first, Claire Heiliger is from Gang Parent Support. They work with families who are concerned about their children being drawn into gangs, and they now have a waiting list because there is so much demand for their services.
Well, we're finding out more and more that the service is actually a needed service. I mean, like I said, with the frequency of the stabbings happening and the frequency of the referrals now, it's outnumbering what we have to staff. Do you know what I mean? So obviously there's a massive concern with this within the community, and that's just within the local community itself.
I think young people are really anxious at this moment in time, and also young people feel let down. One of our clear views is find something for young people to do, or they'll find something to do you don't want them to be doing. And it is as simple as that. Things will get better, but I think there's a possibility it can get worse before it gets better. Because now we're having honest conversations and we're doing real pieces of work that can affect change. I think there will be change. I really believe in it. But I just think for too long, we've all been burying our head in the sands like this isn't a continuous problem. to change that problem. It takes a village to raise a child. We've all got to get involved in this change. We've all got to shift the way we might have done things in the past to look at a new way of doing things to be more successful in the future.
Well, West Yorkshire Police say they have been increasing patrols in the Hare Hills and Chapeltown areas following last night's attack to prevent any further violence and to reassure people living in those areas.
Emma, thank you. We're going to discuss smart motorways now because we've had more details today about the government plans to cancel the building of them. In our region, a scheme to permanently allow traffic on the hard shoulder of the M62 in West Yorkshire has been scrapped. It also means that part of the M1 between Sheffield and Wakefield won't now be converted at all. Campaigners want all motorways to have a permanent hard shoulder. Here's our transport correspondent, Spencer Stokes.
A less costly way of adding capacity to motorways, create a new lane without widening the carriageway. Smart motorways allow motorists to drive on the hard shoulder at busy times, or, as is the case in South Yorkshire, do away with it completely. But they're controversial due to a series of crashes caused by drivers stopping in the live running lane and then being hit from behind. Claire Mercer's husband Jason was killed in 2019 after he had to stop on the M1. For the Rotherham-based campaigner, this is a partial victory.
They were sneaked in by stealth, so you can't object to what you don't know about. But people power. Now that people know what a smart motorway is, know what they're capable of, and realise they're paying for these things, the tide is turning and public opinion is really making a difference.
So what does the announcement mean for our region? On the M1, the hard shoulder has been replaced with an all-lane running smart motorway from junction 28 near Tibshelf services to junction 35 north of Sheffield. It will stay, but a plan to extend it to junction 39 at Wakefield has been abandoned. On the M62, the motorway currently has a dynamic hard shoulder from junction 25 at Brighouse to junction 30. There was a plan to convert this to an all-lane running motorway so that drivers aren't confused by the temporary nature of the hard shoulder. But this won't now happen. The dynamic hard shoulder remains. Scrapping smart motorways doesn't affect routes where construction work is already underway. This is the M621 in Leeds. The hard shoulder is being removed around junctions, but in other parts it's going to be retained. The work started last summer and is expected to be complete by next year. National Highways, who manage the motorway network, have consistently maintained that smart motorways are the safest roads, telling Look North last December that hard shoulders themselves aren't safe. So can I just check, you would rather stop on a smart motorway than a traditional motorway if you're driving? I just find that surprising, that you'd rather not have a hard shoulder there as a refuge that is continuous all the way along the motorway.
So hard shoulders are not safe places. No part of a road is without risk.
But the government didn't mention safety when it made the cancellation announcement at the weekend. It cited public confidence and financial savings. One former motorway police officer says unspent funds should be reinvested in the network.
Let's use the £1 billion to begin a reinstatement of hard shoulder programme. And that way they will be thinking about the public.
Scrapping all smart motorways would be costly and somewhat disruptive. But after the government announcement, campaigners sense victory. Spencer Stokes, BBC Look North.
You're watching Monday's Look North. Still to come on tonight's programme. All eyes are on Ellen Road for that big match.
Yes, we'll have all the build-up as Leeds look for points to avoid the drop, but it won't be easy. They face Liverpool.
A man extradited from Pakistan over the murder of police officer Sharon Beshanevsky in Bradford 18 years ago may have to wait until next year to go on trial. Piran Ditta Khan appeared at the Old Bailey in London by video link today. Prosecutors will request that his trial be held closer to West Yorkshire. Tom Simons was in court.
Well, this was the second appearance at a British court for Piran Khan, who was extradited from Pakistan last week. He appeared at the Old Bailey here on a video link from Belmarsh Prison, wearing a grey, what looked like a prison uniform, and he heard discussion about this case, which centred on where the trial, when it happens, should it happen, where it will take place. Obviously, this is the Old Bailey. We're outside in the centre of London, but the prosecutors believe that it would be preferable for the trial to be held nearer, at least, to West Yorkshire, because of course it's West Yorkshire that has to produce witnesses in this case and evidence from an archive of evidence which dates back more than 17.5 years. Well, no decision taken here at court. That will be an application made by the prosecution to the judge. Piran Khan, who stays in custody, is accused not just of murder but also of possession of a Mac-10 machine gun and a 9mm handgun in connection with that raid on a travel agents in Bradford in November 2005, a raid to which 38-year-old Sharon Beshenivsky and her partner Teresa Milburn were both called, both injured in that raid by shots. Of course, Sharon Beshenivsky very sadly died of her injuries, a probationary police officer. So no major developments here today, and the next hearing in this case will be in the summer, in July. No date has yet been set for a trial.
Police have hailed a shop worker as a hero after he tackled a man with a gun who'd been on a robbery spree in Leeds. 37-year-old Marlon Stewart held up a one-stop shop in Chapel Allerton at gunpoint. Neil Stranix, who was mopping the shop floor, grabbed Stewart and held onto him despite being hit over the head twice with a bottle. Prior to the incident in July last year, Stewart had committed 13 crimes in the space of about 20 minutes, including robbing and vehicle theft. To date, he was jailed for 10 years and 4 months. Leeds railway station has become one of the first in the country to start providing travel updates using sign language. Experts estimate that 40% of deaf or hard of hearing passengers have got on the wrong train because they just couldn't hear the announcements about delays, cancellations or platform changes. Abagiola has more.
Navigating your way through a busy train station can be daunting, but if you can't hear the announcements, it's even more challenging.
It can be difficult, yeah, just because when you're on a platform, there's many a time it's occurred where I've been standing waiting for a train, or where I've got on the train and ready to set off. It's gone the wrong way. I've not realised I'm on the wrong train. Sometimes, yeah, when I come to the train station, it's difficult, but yeah, it's a lack of communication. The staff here don't really sign, obviously, so I have to write down any communications, try and look at the information in English. It's not, yeah, my English isn't my first language, so yeah, I've gone to wrong platforms before. Lots of problems with access, not being able to hear announcements, missing trains, delays, not being informed.
Traditional notice boards don't help if you can't read, and people who are born deaf or have hearing impairments may have reading difficulties.
BSL users tend to have quite a low reading age, and that's because when we learn to read using our hearing, we create a sort of voice in our head and we build them words using syllables like phonics, sort of how children learn now. So if you're hearing impaired, you don't actually have that inner voice in your head to be able to formulate them words.
Network Rail have installed new digital displays which give travel information in BSL, British Sign Language. It's the main means of communication for more than 150,000 deaf people across the country.
There's totem screens that are placed around the station, and they'll have the customer information in BSL on them, and they'll be placed in prominent places around the station, underneath the customer information screens or on platforms, to make sure that customers can find it and access that information easily.
Deaf passengers like Fergus, Amanda, Anthony and Zara say it will transform the way they travel.
Improves confidence, just really excited for the deaf community, and improve accessibility. We can travel more regularly and won't miss that important information. Yeah, very excited. It'll be fantastic because it'll prepare me to, I'll be able to take in the information before I go onto the platform. If there's any changes or if there's been no changes, it's a smoother journey. Oh, it's really valuable to us. Yeah, more accessible, knowing where to go, full information. not needing to ask people to guide you. If something's wrong, then we can get in touch with staff, but really good.
Leeds is the first station to install the sign language screens, but other stations will soon follow. Abby Jaola, BBC Look North.
That's just brilliant news, isn't it, for the deaf community? Another great story for nature lovers. An ambitious project is underway in North Yorkshire to create one of the largest forests in England. The Woodland Trust is planting more than 500,000 native trees on a barren 1,000-acre site near Hawes. Phil Connell was there to see the first trees being planted.
It's one of North Yorkshire's quietest corners, a remote landscape which the Woodland Trust is aiming to transform.
It's one of the areas of planting, and then obviously in behind us, almost as far as you can see, up on the and then middle to upper slopes, there'll be trees.
Along this rugged valley to the south of Hawes, the Trust is aiming to create one of England's largest native forests, an ambitious project which this week has seen the first trees being planted.
The idea is to try and help give it a kickstart to return it to what it once was. It would have been a wooded valley previously.
And to get the first trees in this morning, how exciting is that?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I say 2.5 years getting to this stage. To be able to get cracking on it, we've got an awful lot of land to go at, so the sooner we get going, the better for us, really. This is the first tree. We've got Scots pine here. We're put it within the mix due to the neighbouring conifer plantations. Figure that it would tie in quite nicely to the site, and it is a native species.
The plan is to transform the entire landscape here by planting more than 500,000 trees. It's a project that'll take up to 3 years to complete. But from small acorns, they say, mighty oaks do eventually grow.
This is our most ambitious project in England to date, so that's why it's so fantastic we're getting started today and just making that real difference to the landscape.
And a forest on this kind of scale, what kind of difference could it make to the environment here?
I think here, as I say, it will lock up carbon. We're hoping it will slow the flow of water off this site down into the adjacent communities and then further downstream. So that's something we're really keen to monitor. And I think the amount of wildlife that will come into this site as well. It's just giving nature a bit of a nudge in the right direction.
It'll take between 10 and 20 years for the trees to grow and become established, transforming this windswept valley into a special place to be enjoyed by future generations. Phil Connell, BBC Look North, North Yorkshire.
Hopefully something for our children to enjoy, hey? Lots of sport to talk about. Mark Hansel's outside Ellen Road to tell us about a huge match tonight. Over to you, Mark.
Yeah, big one tonight for Leeds United as they'll be looking for points to help them stay in the Premier League, but it's not going to be easy. They face Liverpool. Having said that, they did beat Liverpool at Anfield back in October earlier in the campaign, though the last game here was against Crystal Palace, a game which Leeds lost 5-1. I shouldn't say that too loud round here, but the Leeds fans I've spoken to tonight feel confident of at least a point.
After the Palace game, we're looking for a rebound, and I think big club, and I think we can do it. I think we can get the 3 points, yeah.
I've supported Leeds since I was 7, and he's a Scouser.
Always nervous for a Leeds game, but we'll do it. I think we'll get 3 points.
Tonight settles up for the next 3 games, safe, party before the season ends.
Because we're at home, we might just do it. Like Liverpool have an off form as well, so you never know, we might do it.
We beat them at Anfield, so we're hoping very much that we can do it again tonight.
United manager Neil Redfern joins me now. Neil, thanks for being with me tonight. How confident are you that Leeds United can get at least a point against Liverpool tonight?
Well, it's a big task, obviously, because Liverpool are a top side and they're capable of beating most sides in the Premier League. But to be fair, they're in a poor run of form at this moment in time. And I think if Leeds bring their A game, there's no reason why not. I think they can get a result. You were here the last game when Leeds lost 5-1 against Crystal Palace. That shock result. Do you think the players will be lacking in confidence at all going into tonight's match? No, I can't see that. I mean, obviously, the first half they played really well, and it was 1-1 at half-time. I thought the second half, obviously, they capitulated a little bit. But, that's the nature of the Premier League. They've got to put that behind them now and come out fighting tonight. And Javi Gracia, the relatively new manager, he's won 3 of his 7 Premier League games. Good going, really, overall, would you say? I think he's done well. I think he's steadied the ship. I think he's got Leeds going in the right direction. They're all playing for him. They've been in every game that they've played that I've seen. and there's no reason why they can't get a result again tonight.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Are Leeds going to stay up? 8 games to go.
Yeah, without a doubt, I think they'll stay up.
Confidence there from Neil Redfern, who is part of the Radio Leeds team, bringing you full commentary tonight. And I should say that tomorrow they'll have another episode of their brilliant podcast, Don't Go to Bed Just Yet, so make sure you catch that tomorrow. Elsewhere in football, it was a good weekend for Sheffield United fans as they take one step closer to being in the Premier League. They actually went 1-0 down against Cardiff City at home at Bramall Lane, but then they hit back, and it was through James McAtee who levelled with a solo effort, and then in the second half a diving header from Jack Robinson helped the Blades on their way to a resounding win. In League One, Barnsley made hay while the sun shined in Gloucestershire, thumping Forest Green Rovers 5-1. It means Forest Green have been relegated and keeps the automatic promotion hopes of 4th place Barnsley alive. In League 2, Bradford City also won. They went in front through Sam Stubbs after just 5 minutes at bottom of the league Rochdale. An own goal put them 2 up. Soon after, it was 3-0 through Scott Banks's deflected effort. Bradford are comfortably in the playoff places. Amy, kick-off here at Elland Road is at 8 o'clock. A massive game for Leeds. Let's hope they can get at least a point. Well, the Leeds fans will certainly be hoping so anyway.
Come on, Leeds. Yes, thanks, Mark. Now, training for a marathon is no easy task, as I am learning the hard way. There's just 5 more resting days until the London Marathon. Hundreds of people from our region will be making the journey south to take part, and among them, a cancer patient from Worksop. Joanne Gray is relying on a team of friends to get her along the route of a very special piece of kit, as Kathy Killick reports.
Let's go.
You certainly won't miss the Rainbow Warriors as they pound the lanes round Worksop. Theirs is an inspiring team effort. They've come together for Joanne Gray, who has terminal cancer. She loves running, but it's too much for her now, hence the wheelchair, designed by Stéphane Couture. He and her running mates will take turns to push it along the 26 miles of the London Marathon this weekend.
I have actually run it on my legs back in 2018. When it was the hottest marathon on record. So I'm looking forward to taking it all in from my chariot, as I call it. When I'm in that wheelchair and I'm running along, it puts a smile on my face and makes me feel alive. And if people that are disabled can do that, then that's a fantastic thing, isn't it?
It was in 2015 that Bailey Matthews showed the world what sport could mean for disabled people, finishing a triathlon without his frame and despite falling, giving new meaning to the word indomitable. He's also from Worksop, and Joanne and her team are running in aid of his Be More Bailey Foundation.
Well, I think it's incredible, Jo, first and foremost, to have the mentality to still want to do what she's doing despite what she's going through. And I think it's great that all of them want to help her get through and do what she wants to achieve.
The chair was made for Stéphane's daughter Chloe, who has cerebral palsy. Crucially, it can be adapted for other users, and the team is also raising money to give that opportunity to more disabled participants.
Been developing this chair, so it's got special adaptations, and it can take from a youngster right up to an adult. Once you've got to a certain speed, it runs a treat. And it goes nice and smoothly. You can turn it and brake it. It's got twin disc brakes on it that are hydraulic, and it's an absolute dream once you get going.
Cheering their grandma, Stanley and Wilfred. When she was first diagnosed, Joanne thought she wouldn't survive long enough to meet them. But 3 years on, they're all making the most of every minute she's got. And along the way, leaving a legacy that helps disabled people enjoy the sport she loves. Kathy Killick, BBC Look North, Worksop.
Gosh, so many inspiring people in that piece. Joanne, enjoy every moment of that marathon. I tell you what, if they can do it, Paul, we should all be able to do a marathon, shouldn't we?
Oh, definitely. Well, you're going to do one very shortly, aren't you, Amy? So good luck with that. We could do with some sunny weather as well, which is exactly what we've had today. Quickly, let me show you what it's been looking like at Flamborough Head, where the sun was out fairly early this morning. Those clouds broke up. This is Harrogate mid-afternoon, looking beautiful. and we've got one in Scarborough with blue sky. So lots of sunshine to come over the next few days before it goes unsettled on Friday. So tomorrow will be dry and sunny after a cloudy start. Just note how many isobars we've got running in over a cold North Sea. So coastal areas will be cold despite the sunshine. The best of the temperatures always inland. And then these weather fronts coming in from the continent will mean rain in the forecast Thursday night and into Friday. Right, there's the cloud that proved to be quite stubborn in western areas, but there's been a big slither of clear air. We've got another bank of cloud now, which is already into coastal areas. So that will race inland through this evening and overnight, so it ends up fairly cloudy. That will limit temperatures falling too far, and the back edge of the cloud actually coming back into coastal areas by the end of the night. Lowest temperatures down to 4 or 5 degrees. So tomorrow's high water times, a bracing but sunny coast, Scarborough 3:48, Bridlington at 4:10. So a cloudy start for most of us, but that cloud will break up much more quickly than it did do today. So by mid to late morning, we're all sunny, and it looks set to be a beautiful afternoon with unbroken sunshine for many. Best temperatures, as I say, will be inland up to 14, 15 degrees, but 10 or 11 if you're lucky in Scarborough and in Filey. Similar on Wednesday and Thursday, but then Thursday night into Friday, rain spreads in from the east. That's the forecast.
I'm sure we can squeeze you in for the Leeds Half Marathon, Paul, if you really want to do it.
The line's gone dead, actually.
I thought it might have done. How convenient. That's it from us. Good night.